The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss weaker soil over the years equal weaker plants, as well as landscaping rock options for your property. Our guest is owner of sponsored Azure Standard. David Stelzer will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour's full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. And
welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. So happy you've allowed us to be part of your day just for a little bit. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, however you're doing such, whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies, broadcasting our program here in 2025 through a radio app, through our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, or in-studio video replay through our YouTube channel, The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. Happy to have you along. You want to be part of the program? Participation is open, and you can do that by sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Let us know where you're listening from. Send us a question. You can give us a call. Also, toll-free, coast to coast, 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-7469. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
So, I started growing some fungi in my garden, but it failed miserably. And you know why I think that was?
Because it was fungi or a mushroom fell over?
Because, there's mushroom for improvement.
More okay.
Like mushroom?
Mushroom. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests, insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
So, over the years, weaker soil will directly impact your crop production. This is true in the vegetable world, in the gardening world, even in the hunting world. In hunting, in hunting, those who are not familiar with it, hunters or property owners will build areas of food plot for animals to come in to feed, so they have a higher nutrient value of intake, so the animal is healthier upon the harvest, upon harvesting it. So it also holds true in agricultural world because of the soil and the dust blowing the soil away and the weakness and the chemicals, and in the backyard garden as well. So we're going to try to break this all down in a very simplistic way, in which this is a 2-hour conversation we're going to have in about 12 minutes.
Yeah, so there's many different things that contribute to this. A lot of it comes down to reduced soil biodiversity, and this does impact crop yields, even, for your own home garden. So one would be things like heavy machinery, compacting the soil, things like that, even you walking on the soil. This makes a difference, whether you realize it or not. You think, I don't walk on it that much. But over time, compacting that soil does have an impact on it and decreases biodiversity, especially some of the fungi, microorganisms, etc.
Well, in the big ag industry, it used to be, and a lot of farmers will, what they call no-till, means they don't till up the soil. They go in with a planter that's designed to put the seed in the ground with whatever covers currently the old soybeans there, the old clover, and then the tractor does compact it, and it used to be a recommendation every 7 years to go in and till that soil up. You plant in that grass or whatever the field is, but then you spray harmful chemicals in order to kill the grass, in order to get the plants to grow without competition. So you're kind of defeating the purpose on both ends.
Right. And the compaction, whether it be, from you or from any sort of
machinery, which has to be done either way.
That does make it harder for the plant roots to absorb the nutrients. And the compaction isn't just once. You walk through your garden enough it continually gets compacted.
It's like a
over time.
sidewalk.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's why either you have distinct grow areas and permanent walk paths, or you change your formatting and go strictly to raised beds. It's no wider than 4 foot, because then there is no compaction at all. Yes, there is a certain amount of compaction in the realm of rain beats the soil, and it kind of it decreases the level of soil in the raised bed. And then you have to refurbish that soil every couple of years.
Yeah. So then also altered weather patterns. So the changes in the rainfall, the temperature, the frequent extreme weather events. This can disrupt natural nutrient cycles, and it also accelerates soil erosion. And if you have heavy rainfall, and it may not look like a lot of soil erosion is occurring, it does occur, because soil erosion is not typically something that occurs in mass. It occurs over time. And we're kind of referring to the last 10 years of the less nutrient-dense soil.
The data input. And yeah, here's the thing. You go out in your garden today, this afternoon, and you take a 1-gallon watering can and pour it on the ground. Watch how that water disperses, and watch how it and what it takes away just in that 1 gallon.
I can do that with the plants on my porch. Mm-hmm. I can see where it makes, if I hold the watering can too close to the soil, it makes an indent.
It disperses it.
Yeah. So another issue is pollution. So that could be anything from our own pollution, if we use some sort of pesticide, synthetic fertilizer. This can be just pollution throughout the air. This can be pollution from your neighbor. It just is any pollution.
So essentially, some of these points in which we're bringing up, it's informational, just so you know, because it's not reversible. It's not something we can change. We can't stop necessarily the heavy rains unless we grow in a greenhouse. We can't necessarily stop the pollution. However, like erosion wise, you can alter how your land lays if the water gushes or flows out of your yard in a certain way. You can have different berms in order to slow that water down or direct it in a different pattern to stop erosion. I revert back to the big ag industry. There are what is called waterways, distinct areas in the field that typically are in lower outlying at the bottom of hills, where the water will be taken away, and it's very thick grass. And some farmers will actually go in and put different barriers, like dig a ditch and put several layers of straw bales in order to put like dams in that to slow the water coming off the field, so we don't have 2 or 3 foot gullies that we don't see and the tractor falls in, and that's when damage happens. Not only the tractor, but if you're not aware, you can be dislodged from the operational platform, and it could end fatally.
Great. Facts.
It is facts. Just facts and reality.
So healthy soil has beneficial fungi, bacteria, and so one thing you can do is you can feed your soil, whether that be adding your own compost that you make, adding other compost, compost teas, fertilizers, organic fertilizers, etc. Anything that's going to help feed the worms, feed those beneficial fungi, feed the good bacteria. This is how you can improve your soil. You can't really do anything about big ag, unfortunately, and it's going to exist, and that's perfectly fine. But in your own backyard, you have a lot of control.
Yes. So you can make your own compost. You can find a reputable compost manufacturer locally. That's all they do is make hundreds and hundreds of yards of compost from locally sourced, safe material. That knows the input and output of their operation, that they know what's coming in and they know what's going to go out. In city municipalities where they pick the leaves up or yard debris or trees every so often, and they take it to a yard and compost it up and may allow the citizens to come in and purchase it or get it for free, you don't know what's in that.
No.
Because anybody can throw anything in it and spray whatever they wanted on what they've thrown away. And based on the conditions of the particular chemical, it may intensify it or it may not neutralize it because of the heat, because some of these are so persistent that it can do damage beyond what is repairable in just 3 or 4 or 5 years of remitigation of soil.
Right. So, yeah. Another thing to mention is that there's becoming less and less cover crops, and cover crops do help feed the soil. This can occur whether this be on a larger farming scale or even in your backyard. If you are not going to grow in an area anymore, or you're holding off, maybe you know that next summer, you have a lot going on and you need a smaller garden, you can plant cover crops, and cover crops will help feed that soil.
Unfortunately, cover crops does not allow the weeds to just take over the bed.
No. It could be for you.
Essentially, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. So these are things that you can do. Or if you're like, I'm not going to use this portion of the garden anymore, or in the near future, again, not letting the weeds just take over, purposely growing something.
Put a berry bushes in that area.
Yeah, or put some ivy, something that's nice. Especially if it's an area that maybe you're not going to use as like a yard situation. You want to be mindful. Putting down sod or growing grass is fine, but maybe you can grow something that's more productive.
Yeah, berries or strawberries or raspberries. Raspberries will just kind of do their own thing. Or Jerusalem artichoke, something that perennial that will do the work for you, that you just go in and harvest it and be done with it.
What about snozberries?
I don't think it's not a real. Stop making things up for people who are listening. I want that. We talked about AI last week. Yeah. Let's not add to the problem.
All right, fine. All right, so yeah, these are.
What are snoozeberries? What is
snozberry?
What is snozberry? Is that something?
It's from a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 points if you know what movie that's from. GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. 10 points to a game that doesn't exist, and there is no winner. So there you go. Anything else we got to add? We want to add to this?
I think just making sure you're good to your soil.
Irrigation. Irrigation can proper irrigation and watering. We recommend at the root system with a drip irrigation system to control the moisture, so you're not watering and just gushing water on and causing that erosion issue, and the water's getting to the particular plants that it needs it, and not watering everything or encouraging the flourishing of weeds in the garden that's competing with the plants in which you're trying to grow.
Correct.
Yeah. And with irrigation, proper irrigation, you can add certain organic nutrients in a liquid form to take it directly to the plant's roots if necessary. Follow the instructions on that and the proper irrigation system. Not all irrigation systems are adapted to that particular distribution of fertilizer.
You have to have the correct one.
Right.
So that being said,
yes, Walton's can be the correct place of your purchases for meat processing and spices.
Yeah, we know you care about where your food comes from. We are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's. At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created MeatJustSticks.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They even have their full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, and sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we return, do not turn away. We're going to discuss landscape rock options. There's many out there. We'll go over some of the ones that we would advise you to go with. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top-quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4jars.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4 Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness, up to 18 months. And are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4JARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com. Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Want to find out more information about those sponsors and all the ones that support the program to allow us to be heard on your station each and every week? The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, our parent website, underneath the Radio 9 tab or the Money tab at the top of the page. Let's discuss, Holly, landscaping rock. When you do a search or you go to your local independent garden center and go, hey, I'm looking for some landscaping rock, and they go, here's 37 choices, have fun picking one, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I agree. You might think...
I just need rock.
Right. You might think there could maybe be only 4 choices or something.
And you're so wrong.
You're so wrong. And you're right. I've seen the landscaping rock options at garden centers.
Oh, one's better than the other. This one's pretty. This one's big. This one's small, but this may work. This is more expensive. That one. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Just like our driveway.
Uh-huh.
And I let you get 2-inch rock, and I hated it. Uh-huh. So... yeah, at our Northwoods of Wisconsin, our camping location on our property in the Northwoods. I trusted your expertise.
Well, we got the larger rock because we didn't know, we had just bought the property. We didn't know the soil consistency, and I was concerned that if we got smaller gravel, that as it rained and we parked the car over it, it would push the rock in the ground and it would disappear.
It probably would have. Yeah.
So I did good.
You did good. I still hate that rock. Uh-huh. Anyway, so river rock is smooth, rounded stones found in stream beds, and it's good for different landscaping projects, pathways, decorative ground cover, and water features. So I think sometimes with this you can visualize it. Like I can visualize river rock, and I could see
just kind of a grayish earth tone color, small,
smooth,
marble to thumb size. Also now you want to be, if you're into the origins, you might be concerned or trying to figure out where it came from or what potential environmental damage was done in order to harvest such a product in any of these situations. Some people are concerned with that. Others are not. You can get river rock in bulk or you can buy it in bags. So if you want just a little bit, you can pay for a little bit and get a bag of it. I think they're like 40 or 50 pounds. I don't know, something like that. Half a cubic foot of color. So that, choices there you can make.
All right. So we also have pea gravel. You can probably
47 pounds for that half a cubic foot. So yeah, go ahead.
You can probably visualize pea gravel.
Yeah.
It's pea size.
We had it on our playground at school.
Is that why you hate gravel?
I don't hate gravel. I hate
gravel.
gravel at campsites.
Joey hates
not
gravel
natural.
at campsites. Oh, it's not. Is that why you don't like it?
Yeah, it's not natural.
But it helps with.
You can also find pea gravel in bags as well if you just want a little bit. 50-pound bags.
I have a funny story about pea gravel.
Okay, go ahead.
So when my sister and I were very young, my grandpa and my dad built a fence around our backyard. And my sister, and they used pea gravel for something, I think to set the post or something, or to put on top of the post sets. And my sister put a piece of pea gravel up her nose, and they had to go extract it.
So they had to go to the hospital and get it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyway, don't let your kids sniff pea gravel. So it's small rounded stones about the size of peas. I think everybody knows what pea gravel is. Good for pathways, ground cover, driveways.
It could be. It could be not drive. It could be considered more of a decorative rock around certain landscape.
What kind of gravel do people use in state park? Isn't that pea gravel?
I call it road rock, or
oh yeah,
that's what I've always called it, is road rock,
road
or
gravel.
road rock mixed with limestone powder. Or yeah, that's what it. Lava rock. Again, most of these you can buy in small quantities or large quantities. A very maroon or burgundy color, and it's lava rock. It's got jagged edges. It's got pores and porous
it's
pieces
good
in it.
for like mulching around bushes and stuff. If you're going to have a permanent fixture, you're not going to grow any flowers, you can use that lava rock.
A lot of these are done in like southwestern areas where grasses are frowned upon and water restrictions may be in place, but some places they do give you an incentive in order to go all natural and no grass, and they will take taxes off of your property if you do it. That's because you're not using water.
Especially in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice look. It gives you an offset to the gray cement of the sidewalk, as opposed to having maybe more gray rock.
So we talked about three very small statured rocks. Flagstone. These are large or chunks of rock that are utilized for patios or pathways. Jagged edges. They can be milled to specific diameters, or they can be naturally split and then put into place to create a very unique jigsaw puzzle looking mosaic type of pathway, however you want to do it. And there's different colors in which can be purchased as well.
Yeah, flagstone, very popular.
Can be heavy though.
It can be heavy, making those paths that look nice. The natural kind of looking paths.
Crushed
stone.
This is what I would consider road rock or gravel for your driveway. This is kind of what I'm looking. That's what I'd look at. You can get this in bagged or bulk material, landscaping rock, crushed stone. Some of it will have limestone dust in it in order to lock it together better, and it won't wash away or erode as quickly because it's more locked together than just pebbles rolling around when it rains, or large quantities of water.
Right. Yeah. So since we're talking about the landscaping rocks, another thing to think about is what's your long-term plan, right? You might think, I'm just going to buy a bag of, that mulch that's...
This is not a shrub in which you can cut down in about 3 years because you don't like it anymore. This is a mess to dig out in some of these instances.
This is what you want to think about. If it's an area around your home that you're like, I just want something pretty around these bushes that I have, and I'm not going to grow any flowers, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z, then
set it, forget it.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's going to suppress the weeds for the most part.
Well,
it'll be ideal.
Well, here, boulders. You can get large boulders. And this is one of these things that this is a commitment for the rest of your existence at that residence. You're not going to go, honey, can you move that boulder 3 foot to the left because I can't see? No. Once it's there.
How do you even get boulders? You have to have them deliver them?
You have to have them delivered. You can buy very large at certain landscape companies, like size of Volkswagen Bugs. 3 or 4 of 8 ton, and they put them at fixtures at the end of the driveway or certain aesthetic, areas. Yeah, you've seen them. We drive down the road, and there's these big, giant rocks that are just arbitrary in the perfect position that nature didn't put them there.
I always never thought.
And people will paint them. People will put flags on them, or your state, and a little star where you live, that type of thing. Decomposing granite is another option. It can be different colors, burgundy, it can be brown, it can be multicolored. This is kind of a fix-all if you want something that just kind of cover an area that necessarily, that's about, less maintenance. So
it's kind of a natural look, the decomposed granite.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe. Isn't it kind of gray looking usually?
A burgundy to brown to gray.
Yeah.
So with any of these, most of the time, it would be recommended, and you'd have to talk because every application is different. Talk to your independent garden center, what they would recommend, whether you need to have landscape fabric underneath this prior to applying it around your house or your flower beds or your landscaping area to prevent weeds. This type of situation is very different than going into the garden and putting a weed barrier down. This type of situation with your rock options, you are looking at a situation where you don't want to do anything. You want to make it look pretty, walk away, and do minimal amount of maintenance for the rest of its existence. So that is something that, most times weed barrier is going to be suggested, so the rock can be on top of it. You can just pull the few weeds out, or if you choose to spray those weeds that do come up in the rocks, you can do that. And some people just have a rock garden and they have no plant life whatsoever. This is their thing. This is what they do. So they have multiple different variations and types of rock in a certain area, kind of like people do a flower bed.
Right. Yeah. It's a decision that you have to make to what you want to do. Again, these are things you want to consider. We can talk about rock all day, but what you want to consider is just like boulders, where you're going to put it. But same thing if you're having this rock delivered, whether it be a boulder or...
Well, like, for example, the flagstone. I just did a random search and pulled up a big box store that had flagstone. 12 by 12 inch by 2 inch. So 12 by 12 by 2 inch thick, 30 square feet of Arizona bluff natural flagstone for landscaping, gardens, and pathways. 30 square feet, $700. Yeah. So this is something that you're most likely going to have a truck bring in, sit down on a pallet, and then hire somebody, or you're going to spend a weekend loving someone who you care about a lot to do a lot of landscape with you. And by the end of the week, you're going to need some break because you've been mad at each other for a while.
It's like putting IKEA furniture together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is that this is a commitment. This is a thoughtful process. It's not like going to buy a bag of mulch and putting it around your bush or whatever tree, whatever it may be. This is something where it's like, I have a plan. I've been thinking about this. I'm now going to invest. And that's why it's good to educate yourself. It's good to think about the purpose, the cost, obviously, but also the look. How's it going to look? What is the maintenance? Not that a lot of these need maintenance, but just like we talked about soil erosion, there could be erosion. So do you need to build a little wall? Do you need to find some boulders to put around to hold it in, or smaller rocks or whatever?
And based on what you're looking at, again, 25 cubic foot of 6-inch diameter rock bolt, $700, you may want to call like a rock yard. That's all they do. That's what we did when we're not looking for pristine specific type of rock. Whenever we needed that rock, it was fairly low cost for the quantity in which we bought. Obviously, the more you buy, the better deal you're going to get. So if you've gone to a garden center and said, I'm going to look for tomato seedlings, and you see the multitude of varieties they have available. Oh, this one's pink, this one's purple, this one's red, this one's green. The same thing in the rock world when it comes to decorative rock for your landscape. Kind of have a plan, but be flexible and be aware of the cost variations based on the type of rock and what you want. And there's certain people that it doesn't matter what it costs. You've made it this far in life. You're going to get the pretty rock regardless if it's $10 more a yard or not. Have at it. Have fun with that.
Exactly.
Summer's on the way, or summer's in full swing, I should say, and those nasty Japanese beetles are wreaking havoc in your yard.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, Look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, you know it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, not only does it work, but it has no water restrictions. It's safe to use around beneficial insects like ladybugs, bees, and butterflies. No toxicity to them. BeetleGone.com. That's BeetleGone.com. Hang out with us when we return. The founder and CEO of Azure Standard, David Stelzer, will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit AzureStandard.com. That's AZURE Standard.com. Use promo code Joey and Holly 15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code Joey and Holly 15 at AzureStandard.com. Azure Standard is AZURE Standard.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at jungseed.com.
R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats, larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. Save your back. Easily and quickly remove trees and shrubs from your property with the Weed Wrench. Find it at weed-wrench.com. Made in the USA. Use coupon code WEED to save $10 off your Weed Wrench at weed-wrench.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. More information about those coupon codes and those companies that support the program, you can find it all at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
David Stelzer is the founder and CEO of Azure Standard. David began farming organically as a teenager in the 1970s with a passion for providing truly healthful foods grown without conventional chemical inputs. From small beginnings selling grain grown on the family farm, he founded Azure Standard in 1987 as a way to market not only what he grew, but other products requested by his customers. Welcome to the program, David.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And just to be transparent with everybody, Azure Standard is a sponsor of the program here in 2025. We appreciate that support. And please tell us tell our listeners about Azure Standard and your philosophy behind the company in which you've created.
Well, Azure Standard, we are the supplier of premium, high quality, mostly organic, all GMO, and extremely clean food ingredients and products that any family can use in their kitchen and in their household. And that's, basically what it's become at this point and we use a unique delivery model. It runs a little bit like e-commerce, but instead of shipping like by UPS or something, we have our own network of trucks that deliver that all over the nation. And rather than getting it directly to your door, you get it to your local community. We've got about 3,600, we call them drop points, throughout the country. So most of the time it's not very far from anybody, but, can't guarantee that. It could be a little further in some places than others. And then we deliver it there. So we can do it very efficiently. So our core mission is to be able to connect farmers that want to produce, and manufacturers too, for that matter, a high quality, above, higher than average, but typically high end type product to consumers that really care about their health and about the quality of the food they eat. And we do that in such a way with our distribution model to do that at a price that's affordable. Usually, they're not paying any more than they would pay buying lesser quality stuff in the standard supermarket quantities, especially if you're willing to buy bulk here at Azure.
That's really, really great explanation. Thank you. So people may have heard of the term food security, but don't know what it means. What is it, and how can we ensure more food security?
Well, I guess it can be defined differently, and depending on who's doing the defining on food security. I can give you my definition.
Go ahead.
So food security is making sure that we have a stable supply chain that can get us food as we need it. And also, and that's on a more global scale. And on a smaller scale, like a family scale, is making sure that we have enough food available in our home or within our easy grasp, so that if there is any kind of crises, whether that's, natural disaster, economic, whatever might come our way, that we are not going to have to start eating, either go hungry or eat something really crappy that's going to just, mess with our health and well-being. It's never more important to have optimum health than when we're in the middle of a natural disaster or some kind of a crisis. So having food security at the family level, in my book, means having a vibrant pantry, enough food that, and that's one way that you can, buying from Azure also allows you to buy in bulk, and you can, get a 25-pound bag of beans instead of just a little package. And there's some there. So, and as you rotate through that. So that's, that's on the family scale. Back on the national scale, and that's a bigger question. Do we have the growers in place, the sustainability in place, the supply chain in place, i.e. the distribution network, And that was one of the things when I first got into this business 35 years ago that, I had this great product, but there was no way to get it to people. There was no distribution mechanism. There was no way that, for sure that was affordable, but it just basically didn't exist. And that's what here, I've spent the last 30 years here at Azure creating was an alternative distribution method, because the current distribution method is definitely skewed towards, international big food companies. They control that mechanism. There's basically in this space, there are just two national distributors and that are behemoth, big food, publicly traded type companies. And there's Azure. And that's it. So I feel like we are the alternative, food distribution network. And that was really important and really beautiful during COVID, because we do have those relationships with our farms and processors. The big boys, the two that are out there, they just jerk their vendors around. All they're doing is looking for short-term profits, and we're looking for a relationship. And so when the crises happened in 2020, we had food and they didn't, which helped Azure to grow a lot. So, I really feel like that has also been part of our mission.
Well, people hear about glyphosate, GMOs, etc., dyes in food. Why can these be harmful, and where should people be why should people be highly concerned about this?
Well, that could be a long answer but let's just take an example. Let me take just the glyphosate. And I could go into every single one of those, but that might be longer than what you want to be on here. But glyphosate is a weed killer. It kills weeds. It really kills everything. Any plant. It's a plant killer. It is a toxic amino acid, so it's a protein that, has been modified to be poisonous. And the way that it acts, two things. One is that it primarily blocks mineral uptake. So it doesn't actually kill the plant in the sense of being poison to the plant, but it poisons the plant in the sense that it does not allow it to take up minerals, particularly manganese, which forms a plant's immune system. So the plant typically dies from fusarium wilt or some other similar disease very quickly after being sprayed with glyphosate of any sort. So when we ingest it, it still does the same thing, blocks mineral uptake. But even worse, it is the amino acid chain that makes up the toxic glyphosate is very similar to the L-glycine amino acid, which is a very, very critical amino acid in our body. In fact, one of the things that amino acid does is it lubricates our joints in between the cartilage that help us to move. The body often confuses the toxic glyphosate amino acid with L-glycine, and it will stick that in the joints. Well, it's not very lubricating. It doesn't do the same job. And now we have an absolute rash of joint replacements going on. Since glyphosate hit the scene, joint replacements have gone up somewhere close to 1,000%. It's just unreal. It's created a big a big problem. And not to mention just all the people with sore joints and stuff that don't actually get them replaced. So, that's just one farm chemical, and that has absolutely really created major problems in the health of our population. Joints wearing out. Joints never wear out. Our joints are made to last longer than our bodies. They should, the doctors say, they're just wearing out, too much movement. Yeah, I call bullcrap on that. That's not what's happening. We're really, the more we move, the healthier our joints get. And I will tell you right now that a marathon runner doesn't have any higher incidence of joint replacement than somebody that's very sedentary. In fact, it's usually less likely. So no, they don't wear out. That's just, so, and that's just glyphosate, and that's just a few things, not to mention proven in court that it causes, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's absolutely been proven in court, and Monsanto spent untold millions of dollars settling cases over that. So, we have, and that's just one chemical. It's a substantial one. It's used very widely, especially in the corn and soy belts and in wheat and corn and soy. But, if we want to go into the rest of them, I could certainly give the technical pieces about that. But, Azure's we've been dedicated to not having those things in our product mix for many years. And glyphosate, of course, was a little bit later because we were, already, it took us a little while to figure out the absolute dangers of that. But we've known that for 30 years, 25 years at least now. And, and there's always new ones coming up. And you talk about food dyes and that kind of stuff. It's, you don't get, real science a lot of times when it's going to the government because, there's some pretty hefty lobbyists there that are making sure that just the right information is getting there. So it's very hard to deal with this at a government level. But we can definitely deal with it in our life. And I will say, in my life, and this is not even just the glyphosates and GMOs and all of that, but in my life, I have kind of a bit of a testimony in how that's worked. I grew up a really, really sickly kid. Truthfully, my wife did as well. We both were, in pretty bad shape. In fact, part of this journey, was my parents trying to figure out what was wrong with me that got us into diet change. But the next generation, as a nation, the generation from, those born in the 50s and 60s, which is my generation, and those that are born, in the early 2000s, nationally, which is my children's generation, it's completely, those kids are way sicker. In our generation, I was one of, only about 12% of children had some kind of a debilitating disease of some sort that they had to be on some kind of permanent medication for treatment. And today, that's somewhere around 57%, from what I just recently read. But in my family's, this went exactly opposite. Because when my wife and I got married, we absolutely dedicated to eating a clean diet. And super clean diet in many ways. We were a little bit of purists. And we fed our family a pure diet. And we never even we raised 11 children. We never had one even see a doctor in all the time. 11 children at 8 for the first, at least till they were 18, other than one broken femur. That's the difference it makes.
That's really interesting, and thank you for sharing that with us. So, thank you for being on the program. How can people find out more about you, and any tips that you want to provide for utilizing your services website, the Azure Standard services?
Oh, okay. So, Azure Standard has a website, azurestandard.com. So you're certainly welcome to go to that and take a look around. Primarily, I guess if I were going to give a tip, is change your diet a little by little. So Azure can be a really good resource for doing that. Now, in my family's life, my parents changed our diet radically. It was a big deal. But what I'm finding with our Azure customers, if they change slowly, it's a lot less radical, and you get to the same end game, and probably with a lot less drama. So just change out. So Azure has the high quality ingredients. So just start changing out the things that you have in your pantry right now. So change out your regular white flour for organic white flour. Maybe someday you won't even use white flour because you'll want to go for a 100% whole grain diet, but that's step one. Step one, make small incremental changes. So at least you won't get the glyphosate and the bad starches and proteins that's in, regular white flour. Then do an organic version of beans. Maybe you want to make sure all that your sugar is at least organic, and maybe start looking at some alternative sweeteners just a little, and reduce the regular sugar content in your diet by substituting with alternatives like possibly honey or maple syrup or stevia or monk fruit or some of these kinds of things that are a little bit healthier versions, cause less of a blood sugar spike. So little by little. So just, if you're going to the Azure website, start with the things that are already in your pantry. Just find the better version.
Well, David, we certainly appreciate the time you've offered, the support you've offered for our program, allowing our listeners to hear us and you across the country on all of our stations. We thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for carrying it, and we appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And when we return, it's Your Garden Questions and Our Garden Answers. You're tuned in to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Mantis garden tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com. The Shore and Shore utility cart is designed to help you with your projects around the yard and get your garden work done with ease. With a load capacity of 400 pounds, telescoping sides, the ability to use as a flat bed, and the option to pull it behind your bicycle, this cart is ideal for use around the garden, yard, lake, beach, park, and more. In short, the Shore and Shore is the most versatile cart in the market. Check us out at shoreandshore.com and get yours today.
A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA Bio-Preferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you No More Bugs. Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at totallytomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
One Sweet Earth makes the last garden bed you'll ever need. Strong, simple, sustainable. One Sweet Earth beds slide together in minutes. No tools, no rot, no junk. Durable, non-toxic, woman-owned, made in the USA. Visit onesweetearth.com.
Good garden tools make gardening easier. Wisconsin-made Cobra Head tools simplify weeding, cultivating, digging, and planting. Favorites of professional gardeners, Cobra Head tools are durable, ergonomic, and easy to work with. Visit CobraHead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order. David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company, is a landscaper you need. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. Submit them over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or give us a call toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. We'll go right to the hotline. We have a question about insect.
Hello. I'm from Eau Claire, Wisconsin area. But anyway, I was wondering what's the latest that a person can do about that spotted wing dyspholia. It's that Asian fruit fly that's wrecking berries. And, so it's a cross between what to do. Because organic people don't want you to take and spray anything. And but yet you want to save our crops from that fruit fly maggot. So I was wondering if you would touch on that a little bit. It's hard to spray neem oil, I suppose. Never tried it, but won't that oily neem oil taste get into the fruit? Who's going to be able to wash raspberries, for example? But it's about time now. It'll be making all the blueberries fall off as it makes them soft. So what can be done about it? What's the latest thing? Anybody got any good traps at work? And so it's that time when we need to do something. So I'll be listening to your program again, of course. Thank you.
All right, Holly, you've done some intensive research on this, and you have some answers.
Yeah, so they do cause quite a bit of damage, especially in raspberries, as was mentioned. You can make your own trap for this, and this is for the spotted wing Drosophilia, Drosophilia. And they're very common in the upper Midwest-ish. And so you can make a trap, and you take about a 32-ounce cup, and you poke holes in the top, like around the top upper side of the cup, basically, and then you leave about 3 to 4 inch section on the bottom without holes because you're going to put apple cider vinegar in the trap. If you have access to these small yellow sticky card traps, you can put that inside. You can usually get those at garden stores. Otherwise, you can add some unscented dish soap to the vinegar. And then when you put those little holes in, the flies will get stuck in there. And then they get stuck in the trap into the apple cider vinegar, and they basically drown. So that's one way. You don't want to put this right in the middle of your berry patch, though. You want to put them kind of away from your berry patch, and I would recommend putting a lid on it just so other larger insects that might be beneficial won't get caught in there. So just make sure they're just about 3/16 of an inch hole. Another thing you could do is you could put nets over your berries as well. That's another option.
You want to make sure the size of the netting.
Yeah, you want to make sure that the size of the netting is is proper for that. These are your options. Otherwise, they do say the University Extension says at times insecticides are necessary. So that is something you would have to determine for yourself. And if you want to use it, it's best to spray those in the evening time so it doesn't have a large impact on pollinators.
All right. Hi, guys. I was wondering if you have a lot of bees in your garden. I have a variety of beautiful flowers and vegetables. I garden organically, and any spray is done after the pollinators have finished. But over the last years, it seems that I don't have enough bees. I also have numerous bee balms. I do not even have those anymore. I have experienced the same. Have you experienced the same thing? Ilona, listener at Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 out of Ann Arbor.
Always good to hear from Ilona. So I've noticed, I haven't noticed anything in our garden itself, but on my porch garden, I feel like I've seen less and less bees. And I don't plant like a lot of wildflowers.
Right. But I've seen in the garden, there's fewer and fewer bees. There's more insects and flies and wasps and stuff than bees themselves.
Even like out walking outside in nature, I feel like there's less and less bees. So I think that that's correct. And I'm sure that it's possible that there are just less and less bees in general, especially as there's alternating weather patterns. There's different usage of chemicals on large agricultural scales, less biodiversity as urban sprawl occurs. Even by us where we live, we see it in multitudes. More houses.
Acreages and acreages that was wooded 5 years ago doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, or farms or whatever. Yeah, so I think that there's a huge impact. One thing you continually always can do is just continue to grow biodiverse, whether that be different types of vegetables, flowers, anything like that attracts the bees. Flowers that you can kind of do your own research, but native plants are very, very helpful as well.
Well, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. You can tune in to the program next week. You can find our program on any podcast platform by searching the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show and listen to all 9 seasons there. Tune into the program next week where we'll be discussing understanding hugelkultur, as well as thoughts on things that you thought were difficult to can, but are very easy to do so, as well as Michelle from michellesgardengrows.com will be with us. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.